Well, hello, I'm alone in Finland. I got back into Eve, so I restarted my stuff the other day. I'm going through it. There's some new shiny ships and stuff like that, and I've got a Pokemon mentality with stuff like this. So I was like, right, let's get in, let's do a little bit of trade, let's have a look at what's going on in different places, selling different things, moving some stuff about. I already had a whole chunk of ships that needed to be sold, and it does so happen that I've got some things to do. So I can make things and all, blah, blah, blah. Typical Eve stuff. And also running a little bit of missions. And right at the moment, I was setting up to do a little bit of Abyssal. So I jumped to my clone that was back in Jita, because that's one of the clones that I keep that has no implants in it, and I don't mind running Abyssal with it, because I'm not one of those people that run high-end sort of tier 5 with all of the implants and stuff in. I just like a calm time, so I run 3s and 4s depending on what I'm doing. If I'm watching stuff, then it's 3s. If I'm not watching and I'm focusing on the game, then it's 4s. And then, now I've seen this before, I know about the Hypernet relay, and it exists. How could you put it in a nice diplomatic manner? I fucking hate its existence. The fact that they put gambling into this really pisses me off, especially because if you don't know about this particular situation with a Hypernet relay, this exact method of a lottery was done by people external to the game, where they were making a lottery, they were taking cut off the top, and people were making money, losing money, all of this jazz, and Eve came down on them like a ton of bricks, and they banned it all. Only for them to, a little while later, put the exact same implementation into the game. And I despise it. I despise the idea of gambling in games, because any gambling is, some people win, a lot of people lose. That's the end of it. We all know this. It's the house always wins. It's the simple rule of gambling. For some people to be successful and some people to get a cut, then a lot of people have to make a loss. So they put it in so that players could scam other players, because this is Eve, which is a phrase that I fucking hate, because it used to be glorious. This is Eve used to be all of the things you could do, and it's now that toxic rebuttal to somebody sort of putting honest to God criticism against this. I don't want my toxic sandbox to change. But it always changes. It has changed. It changes every 3 months. There are updates. There are shifts and patterns and balances and all of this jazz. So it's just become this sort of smack of toxicality. But I happened to misclick just there. And this came up and I was like, oh, the Hypernet. Wait, what's this? So I read it. The Hypernet Relay is a new trade network. Gambling isn't fucking trade. With a distinct blend of entertainment. Yes, gambling can be entertainment, but fortune, and social interaction. How the fuck is placing bets social interaction? See how it works. Let's go. Browse the offers. You can search for the offers, press refresh button, blah, 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 blah. Buy hypernodes. Okay, that's how they hook you in. You buy something to put in. By the way, those little hypernode tokens, along with the whole Plex thing, are part of what's under scrutiny from the EU, so they're probably about to get shit canned legally. So, just a point. And then synchronise. Once all hypernodes are in an offer, have been sold, one of them is selected at random, whose owner then receives the item. Right? Gambling. It's a lottery. It's I've forgotten the name for it. There's a particular thing that they used to do. Raffles, that's the one. In Britain, they run raffles that support businesses and stuff like this. But when you're making a raffle, it's little things. It's things. It's tangible stuff. It's not just stuff that may exist on the game or something like this. But then look at them, because this is the standard thing. If you don't know about this, because I know a lot of my audience don't play the game anymore, and some of my audience just don't play the game. I understand that. That actually I've gained a deep appreciation for, because at the moment I have gone down this weird sort of net of YouTube drama channels, and a lot of them focus on I've forgotten the actual term for it. You know, the characters, the anime character design people that do motion capture. I've forgotten that. But me doing all the drama channels, if you haven't seen it, it's like schoolyard drama. It's just funny to watch all this stuff and kind of tragic that it exists at the same time. So I get you people. And for all of those that don't understand, you've got a lottery. Nice and simple. And this doesn't open up the way it does on my desktop, but what's happened here is somebody's put the lottery in. You can see here, it's usually by alts or people like this. And I'm not singling anybody out. Do not go and bully any players or anything like that. People are free to gamble. People are free to do stupid stuff. Well, YouTube wouldn't exist without people doing stupid stuff, I don't think. But, so you've got one person here. And they've got created by Moldotar. And then 159 nodes remaining. There's 189 participants. And if you scroll down, your man has taken, what, a quarter of them? Maybe a fifth of them? Somebody else has bought a few. Now, this is what can happen in these sort of things. Oh, your man's got more. So as you come down, the guy who's selling the object has taken about a third of the actual tickets. So he's got a 1 in 3 chance of getting it because he's got a third of the thing. The way statistics sort of seems to work. So, and I'm assuming, I don't think that this is sort of rigged in any way where it picks for different things, because that was the accusations on the previous one that was external to CCP. I don't think it was, because I did actually put some stuff into that. And I won really big and then cashed out, as has happened in my real life. I played, what's the one? I played roulette once. It was in a hotel on the Åland Islands in Finland, nearly 20 years ago. I was there, I was drinking with a whole load of mates, and they've got a little gambling bit, a little casino bit. And somebody said, I'll put a bet down, and I put down €10 onto one number. And if you don't know roulette, which I didn't at the time, that gives you, if it lands on that number, it gives you 36 to 1. If you pick between numbers, it changes odds and stuff like this. But 36 to 1 is the highest you can win. And I won. So I got €360 for the €10 that I'd put down. I was like, fantastic, I'm up €350. And then my mate goes, I'll do another one. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm not getting that again. There is no chance. There is a small chance, but yeah, realistically, no chance. I'm out, I'm going to have a good night, and it's not going to cost me a penny. Fantastic. So that was me. I cashed out, and I haven't played roulette ever again because it's gambling. But this to me is sort of disgusting, that it annoys me it exists, but it's worse that that's that little interaction. What social interaction do you see in this? You have put participants in, you pick a thing. There is no social interaction. That is a flat out lie. And it's a lie and a propaganda. And this is the stuff that just winds me up, because I understand that it's a for-profit company. But you can run for-profit companies that are nice, that are good, that value their customers, instead of trying to exploit them. So I am aware that more than one person that works at CCP has seen my videos, and that's kind of where these ones are. Unfortunately, them telling me that has kind of encouraged me, when I see nonsense, to call it out, while at the same time making suggestions where I see it. I saw something else. I'll put this in because I like the idea of balance as not being fully negative all of the time. But unfortunately, the negative reaction is the stronger one when you're seeing these things. However, something else cropped up today, and I think that there would be a cool thing about this, because I think this is a place where it has come... It has been a good idea, something that's sort of been overlooked by the vast majority of people. Industry, infrastructure, Paragon, utilities... You got paused through that, but it took me an embarrassing amount of time to actually find out the corporation page. However, within the corporation stuff, you have somewhere... What is it? Applications, He paused these again to consult things, because I just saw this as it sort of popped up for something else. Aha, let me bring it up this way. This is a little bit easier. So... if you come into your daily activities, again, people that play the game will know this. I didn't, because I've just come back after a while and this has changed. So we have this thing for freelance jobs. And the freelance jobs are, I'll just click on one random one with a whole... You've got to mine this stuff. You're mining for another person. They pay you money depending on what you mine, blah, blah, blah. 16,000 per unit is not bad. And I had this thought as I was looking at this earlier, and I wrote it down as a comment on one of the videos. One of the things I think would be very good in this would be actually if you could do missioning for another person. So say, for instance, you're in Langesi and you're running Sisters of Eve missions. You could sort of assign that mission, assign that missioning agent and say, I want 100 missions run, and this is how much I will pay per mission, for example. And then the person who's doing it runs the missions in the normal factor. They take the payout from you, but you get the mission rewards. So they would see the mission, they'd be able to run through the missions, but it would be under your thing. And it would be your payment that goes to them. And it would be like putting an extra barrier or putting an extra thing. So instead of running missions deliberately yourself and getting the LP and the ISK off of the missions, somebody else would be doing them. You would be getting the LP and the ISK, but you would be also paying that person. Now, I know that sounds like just an extra step for no reason, but the point here is you could get somebody to do missions and up your relationship with a mission agent without being there. So, for instance, if you wanted to run missions in the faction warfare space, but you didn't want to go into low-sec, somebody else that's doing faction warfare could pick those up, get a little bit of extra bonus and extra ISK, and you get the sort of credit off of the agent, and it would be a fun way to sort of subcontract missioning, which means that you could get the LP and you could make a little bit of sort of LP without sort of going to that particular place. So for instance, if you're a null-seeker, you could have somebody at the entire opposite side of the map running missions for you for a particular faction that you're not aligned with, or you're sort of not in their space anymore. But you could still have the opportunity to just zip in and out with a hauler or a blockade runner, use the LP to grab some stuff and get out. So it's just a little thing there that sort of extends, sort of makes the LP market from particular people more accessible. And I think that would be a particularly good answer to the nullsec, sort of the nullsec groups that take ownership of a particular area and don't let anybody else in, or don't make it easy for people to run missions that are outside of that faction. Because now you've got it where people could run missions for anybody, and you just have to have one fast blockade runner that's sort of in and out to be able to get there, get the stuff and get out. So I think that would be something good. You could even set it up as contracts where you go there and just a fast ship, an interceptor, jump in, set it up as a contract for somebody else to bring it up. Nice insured contract, decent payoff. And then you've added this sort of extra market layer into it. I think that's just a funny little extension of these sort of contracts. So I thought that was something to sort of balance out my critique, my criticism, my abject hatred of gambling in games and loot boxes and all of that stuff that I think games companies should be pulling out before they're legally required to. Because the simple thing is that gambling either affects people or it doesn't. And the people that are affected by it are usually sort of disadvantaged by it. They get that need to it. And it disproportionately affects people with certain mental illnesses. For instance, if you're ADHD like myself, you have a stronger hook into it, and there's a lot of evidence that it's disproportionately affecting you. So gambling addiction and things like that could be seen as something that could be linked with mental health. And I think if you're in the region of that, you should just back off. It's like somebody I used to know who was a 30-year-old who would date like 18, 19-year-olds. And his excuse would always be, oh, it's legal. It's like, I don't care if it's legal. If you have to justify something by saying it's legal to the other person, you're already in the wrong. So I thought that would be an interesting one to put critique out, because me. And now I shall get back to a little bit of setup, some abyssal runs, and just because it is funny, I love this big thing. again, if somebody at CCP is watching this and you happen to know the designer of this, full props to them. I think this is a lovely ship. Very sort of aggressive. Also, I know this wasn't the inspiration because of the timing. The whole gun from Arcane, Caitlyn's gun towards the end of Arcane, is very reminiscent of this, so it does have that sort of powerful look to it. But I think this is absolutely brilliant. I really like this ship. So, thanks very much. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As per usual, down in the doobly-doo. Comments, criticisms, critiques, anything like that. If you've got an opinion, feel free to say it. Keep it polite. I always say keep it polite, keep it nice. It doesn't have to be a nice thing that you're saying, but don't make personal attacks, because remember, if you're attacking a person and not the argument, you've already lost the argument. So, something I put out there for people going on. It hasn't happened in a while, but again, I've been watching the drama stuff so much that I'm sat there just going, why? I've been doing all my chores and stuff like this with this on in the background, and occasionally you just find yourself hearing something, turning around and going, what is wrong with people? How can you think that's sane? But yeah, I also didn't know what a VTuber was, and now I wish I didn't know what a VTuber was. So yeah. Fantastic. Bye!